From Hello is a gripping tale of self-discovery and resilience against the shadows of obsession. It challenges the notion of safety with a haunting exploration of trust and betrayal, inviting readers to question how well they truly know the people they encounter. Buckle up for a heart-pounding journey where every hello may lead to an unexpected goodbye. Will Liz find the courage to escape, or will she become another victim of a twisted obsession? Liz, a dedicated nurse in her small Kansas town, had recently found herself weighed down by the demands of her job. The shadows of a difficult 5-year relationship still lingered, leaving her constantly feeling drained and lost. In an effort to find solace, her best friend Cheryl proposed an escape, a trip to the remote wilderness in New York near the Canadian border, far away from the cacophony of city life. It wasn't the bustling streets of the city they sought, but rather a peaceful retreat where they could unwind and reconnect with themselves. They envisioned a week filled with laughter, heartwarming movies, and the comforting clink of glasses, a chance to rediscover joy and embrace whatever surprises the weekend might bring. The plan was to meet in New York, but Cheryl couldn't escape her work commitments in time for the early flight. Liz reassured her that she'd handle everything for her late arrival that evening. Liz managed to reach Saratoga Springs, just a couple of hours away from the cabin they had rented. Nestled near the breathtaking High Peaks wilderness, the area was a marvel of nature. As fall began to unveil its palette, the trees transformed into vibrant hues that were nothing short of stunning. The drive had been smooth, but as she drew closer, she lost phone service and suddenly found herself struggling to locate the cabin. As she drove down the winding road, the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the landscape. Her gaze fell upon a man standing with a rifle slung over his shoulder, clad in rugged hunting attire. Rather than feeling uneasy, she found comfort in the presence of the outdoorsman. With a sense of adventure pulling her forward, she slowed her car and pulled over. "Excuse me, sir, could you help me find my cabin?" she called out, her heart fluttering with a mix of hope and curiosity. At first, he turned with a hint of annoyance in his eyes, but as soon as they crossed paths, her sweet smile softened his demeanor. "Well, hello there. Off to meet your boyfriend," he teased, his lips curling into a charming grin. "Actually, no. I'm meeting my girlfriend," she replied, a rosy blush creeping onto her cheeks at the unexpected twist of the conversation. His brow furrowed in confusion for a moment. "Oh, I see," he said, a chuckle escaping his lips. "Not like that, then? Just friends?" "Yes, exactly," she laughed, the air around them filled with an undeniable lust. Got it. Well, my name is Phillip," he introduced himself, his eyes glinting with kind familiarity. "I'd be more than happy to help you find your cabin." As she shared the name of her sanctuary among the trees, Phillip eagerly mapped it out for her, his love for the woods evident in his animated description. He had grown up here, wandering through the woods and chasing the whispers of nature, knowing every twist and turn like the back of his hand. As Liz drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror, smiling as Phillip waved goodbye and watched her car disappear. Upon arriving at her destination, she found a simple cabin tucked among the forest, far from any other houses. The closest neighbor was a good 10 miles away. This was the escape she had been longing for, a break from the daily grind of work and her complicated relationships. Once inside, Liz began preparing the cabin for Cheryl's arrival. She unpacked her clothes and put away some groceries she had picked up during the drive. Later that evening, Liz checked her phone again, hoping to see a message from Cheryl, but no service. With a sigh, she picked up the home phone and dialed. "Hey girl, I'm so sorry," Cheryl said, her voice heavy with disappointment. "The airlines messed up my ticket. I can't get another flight until Wednesday morning." Liz felt a wave of sadness wash over her. but she tried her best to mask it. "It's okay," she replied, forcing a lightness that didn't quite reach her heart. "That's just 2 days away. I can take this time for myself, and then, when you get here, we'll start the party." After hanging up, Liz glanced out the window, her heart sinking further when she saw Phillip standing near her car. Their eyes met, his wave feeling hollow as the weight of the evening settled around her. When Liz stepped toward the door to confront him, she found Phillip already waiting, his face twisted into an angry scowl. "Why'd you lie to me, Liz?" he demanded, his voice laced with fury. "Excuse me?" Liz shot back, caught off guard. "You told me you were here with a girlfriend. Where is she?" Panic rippled through Liz. "Not that I owe you an explanation, but her flight was delayed. I'd like you to leave now, please." Her voice grew sharper as she attempted to close the door. Phillip wedged his foot in the gap, preventing her escape. "Don't be rude, Liz. I thought we were better than this, to lie to one another." With a fierce shove, she moved his foot from the door. "I don't know you at all. Good night," she barked, slamming the door shut with a resonating thud. That night, a few hours after Liz had drifted off to sleep, Phillip slipped into the house and made his way to her room. He settled himself into a shadowy corner, eyes fixated on her peaceful figure. Mutters escaped his lips, barely audible, yet heavy with emotion. "Why would you do this to me, Liz? I love you. You shouldn't have lied. Now I'm forced into darkness against my will. You pushed me here." At that moment, Liz stirred, her gaze locking onto the very spot where Phillip once sat. The next morning, Liz found herself waking up far later than usual. She shot a quick message to Cheryl, who replied to let her know her flight was scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m., and she'd be arriving around 10 that night. They exchanged their excitement about finally reuniting. After that, Liz whipped up some breakfast, putting on some music and dancing around her kitchen as if no one was watching. Unfortunately, someone was. Phillip spent the entire night in restless turmoil, his mind a storm of memories. As dawn broke, he sifted through the remnants of Liz's life, his fingers trembling as they brushed over her cherished belongings. He took a necklace, a delicate piece now hanging heavily around his neck, a bittersweet reminder of the love that once was. Later that evening, Liz settled onto the couch, ready to lose herself in a movie. Unbeknownst to her, this would mark the beginning of the longest and most haunting night of her life. About 30 minutes in, a sudden bang echoed against the window, jolting her from her seat. Heart racing, she lurched from her seat, a chill creeping up her spine. Just then, the lights extinguished, plunging her into darkness. Frantically, she rushed to where her phone had been charging, only to find it gone, vanished into the shadows. Panic surged through her as she searched the room in desperation, but every corner remained unyielding. Breathing heavily, she managed to locate a candle and struck a match, its flickering flame casting eerie shadows on the walls. With the fragile light guiding her, Liz wandered through the house and at last discovered the circuit breaker. She flipped the switches one by one, but the oppressive stillness remained. Nothing responded. The darkness tightened its grip. She felt a jolt as someone touched her shoulder. In a panic, she whirled around and gasped at the sight of Phillip standing there, a smile creeping onto his face. A scream tore from her throat as she instinctively recoiled, pulling her arm from his grasp. Without thinking, she dashed toward the door, heart pounding. "Where are you going, Elizabeth?" he bellowed, his voice laced with rage. Desperation clawed at her as she reached her car, only to find it locked, her keys abandoned inside. In a frenzy, she sprinted along the side of the road, her voice cracking as she yelled, "Help! Please, someone help me! Call 911!" She glanced back. Phillip was right there, striding down the road after her. "Come on, Liz. Just you and me. No one can hear you. I'll scream with you." He started yelling, trying to provoke her. It had only been 2 minutes, but her energy was already dwindling. Phillip looked strong, fresh as if the chase had just begun. She had to find somewhere to hide, fast. Spotting a toppled tree, Liz dashed behind it, seeking cover. She struggled to control her breathing, but it felt like an impossible task. With each step he took closer, a chill ran down her spine, and the hair on her neck prickled with fear. This was a moment stripped to its rawest form, primal and electric, almost enough to stop her heart. As his footsteps echoed behind her, she squeezed her eyes shut, dread washing over her. "You should have kept running," he whispered, his voice sending shivers through her. Panic surged in her veins as she attempted to flee, but Phillip seized her by the collar with an iron grip. Liz kicked and screamed, the sound lost against the power of his strength. He dragged her, relentless, for more than a mile back to the cabin. When he finally brought her back to the cabin, he secured her to the radiator beside the couch. As he was tying the knot, Liz's voice trembled with confusion. "Why are you doing this to me?" she pleaded. Phillip's eyes were intense as he replied, "This isn't about me. It's about the love you showed me and then tossed aside. You're the one who pushed me away." Liz's brow furrowed in disbelief. "What are you talking about?" "We met just once. I only asked for directions." Frustration burst from Phillip as his hand slammed onto the table, shaking the fragile stillness of the room. "You're lying to me again, Liz. I can't stand deceit. You're reminding me of my mother." For the next couple of hours, Phillip walked back and forth in the room, his anxious energy palpable. Meanwhile, Liz's mind raced as she searched for a way to survive this ordeal. The idea struck her. What if she pretended to care for him? Perhaps that would convince him to untie her, giving her a chance to escape. Finding her keys, or even better, her phone, was essential. If only she could call the police, this nightmare might finally come to an end. Eventually, Phillip, having been awake for over 48 hours, finally succumbed to exhaustion and dozed off in the chair across from her. This was her moment. The rope binding her hands was tied with intricate knots. Phillip had a talent for that, being an experienced outdoorsman. Liz, however, was lost. She didn't know where to begin. Her first instinct was to use her teeth, but that didn't work. She turned her attention to the sharp edge of the radiator vent, which she used as a makeshift blade. It took nearly an hour and almost woke Phillip multiple times, but finally, the rope gave way, and she was free. Now, she had to find a way to escape. She couldn't just step out into the wilderness. She had tried that before. To make matters worse, a storm had rolled in during her frantic attempts. It was cold and wet, and she knew she wouldn't get far without a clear direction. She needed to locate her phone, or her keys, preferably both. Time was running out, and she had to act fast. Liz hurriedly searched for her belongings, every noise amplified in the silence. A faint glimmer caught her eye from the kitchen. It was her phone. She rushed toward it. Picking it up, she saw a message from Cheryl. "Good night, Lizzie. See you tomorrow night. Stay safe, love." With urgency, she quickly replied, "Call 911. Without waiting to see if she could even send a message, Phillip snatched the phone and smashed it against the floor. "You weren't calling someone, were you, Elizabeth?" He shot at her, his voice dripping with contempt. Stunned for a moment, she lunged for a knife on the counter. "Stay back! I swear I'll cut you!" she shouted, her fear igniting a fierce defiance. But Phillip remained unfazed by her threat. "Listen, Liz. We could have had it all, but you just had to lie to me. I can't stand being lied to." In a fit of blind rage, he charged at her, fury bubbling over as he seemed almost ready to explode. The battle raged fiercely. Liz fought for her life, while Phillip clawed for victory. He seized her hair and yanked her toward the bathroom, where the tub overflowed with water. Desperate, Liz clung to his leg and managed to sink her teeth into his calf with all her might. A roar of pain erupted from Phillip as he struck her face in retaliation, his rage palpable, bloodshot eyes burning with fury. He then forced her head beneath the surface while she kicked and struggled, fighting for each precious breath. I believed she cared for me, Mother. But she was just a mirror of you, manipulative, never measuring up to the perfect little Elizabeth. How tragic. Now, you can cradle her, Mommy. Liz fought her way up from the water, gasping for air as she broke the surface. She managed to scream for help just before he pushed her down again. This terrifying struggle continued for almost 5 minutes, and she could feel her strength waning, teetering on the edge of unconsciousness. Suddenly, a knock on the door interrupted Phillip's grim focus. He couldn't let go. If he did, Liz might alert whoever was outside. Saratoga Police Department. Elizabeth, could you come to the door? We got a welfare check from a friend of yours named Cheryl. Liz could scarcely hear anything, but a voice broke through the haze. With every ounce of strength, she surged to the surface, screaming a blood-curdling, "Help!" Panic flooded Phillip as he let her go, and she crumpled to the floor. Suddenly, officers thundered against the door, kicking it in and rushing to her side. It took what felt like an eternity for her to catch her breath enough to spill the harrowing details of what had just unfolded. Liz was brought to the station for questioning, a critical step in uncovering the truth behind the recent events. It was during this interrogation that she discovered the true identity of Phillip Jeffrey Dawson. 4 years prior, a disturbing series of murders began to ripple through the Saratoga Springs area, predominantly targeting women, though some men were caught in the crossfire as well. In the months leading up to her questioning, investigators had narrowed their focus to a prime suspect, Dawson. However, upon learning of the investigation, he vanished without a trace. Over a month had passed since anyone had seen him, leaving Liz unfortunate enough to be the first to cross paths with him. A heavy silence lingered in the air as they spoke about Phillip, while outside, an extensive search was underway. Phillip's upbringing was marked with sorrow. He was born to a single mother who showed little kindness. His younger sister Elizabeth was cherished and admired, but tragedy struck when she drowned in a lake near their home. At just 8 years old, Phillip was burdened with the belief that her death was his fault, a twisted notion instilled in him by their harsh mother. For the next decade, his existence became a relentless torment, isolated from friends, subjected to endless toil, and constantly belittled. To her, he was not a son, but a mere annoyance, a shadow overshadowed by the loss of a girl who could do no wrong. The relentless cruelty of his childhood turned his life into a living nightmare. The next day, Liz boarded a flight back home. The police hadn't managed to find Phillip yet, but they were still actively looking for him. He had taken a necklace, her ID, and oddly enough, a pair of socks. Once Liz got home, Cheryl came over to stay for a few nights. While Liz went to the bathroom, Cheryl prepared some tea for them. During Liz's absence, her home phone rang from a restricted number. Without thinking twice, Cheryl picked it up since she and Liz had been friends since grade school. When Elizabeth returned, Cheryl informed her that a man was on the line for her. "Who is it?" Elizabeth asked, feeling a knot of tension tighten in her stomach. Cheryl simply replied, "I don't know. He said you'd know." A chill ran down Liz's spine. She hesitated before picking up the phone, a sense of dread pooling in her gut. "Hello," she said, her voice steady despite the unease. A cold, familiar voice slithered through the receiver. "In due time, Elizabeth. I'm just a stone's throw away, my dear. From the moment you said hello, I knew I had to have you."